Ah, yes, the constellation Pleiades. What does it mean? What does it stand for? We asked some people on the street. Excuse me, sir, do you know of constellations? Pleiades, does it mean anything to you? Pleiades, your thoughts? Anything to say about the subject? Ferdinand, your thoughts? Pleiades? Anything? Anything? Ghostly apparition. Do you have any thoughts on Pleiades? Yes? No? Oh, I guess not. Okay, what do you think? Any thoughts on Pleiades? Get me out of here, I'm in stir. Sorry about that. Any of you? Any of you? Loki? Comments? Questions? Concerns? Pleiades? Stars? I know. You prefer Pegasus, don't you? Yeah, typical. Sogi? Sozi? Sozi, Sozi. Anything to say, sir? Yeah, he's always stoic like this. Zeno! Any thoughts, Zeno? Monsieur Zeno. Hey, get me out of here. I'm stuck in here. I want to be outside. It's too hot for you right now, pal. Yep. Pleiades. Yep, sure. I'll tell you. Let me out. I'll tell you all about Pleiades. Well, it turns out none of them have any real comment about this, but I do. Pleiades has for many, many years now been the logo and symbol for Subaru. And Subaru is a very unique vehicle in that they have gone their own way in so many different aspects of vehicle design, including their strict adherence to the Boxer four-cylinder engine arrangement, along with full-time all-wheel drive for all their vehicles, which they like to call symmetrical all-wheel drive. So popular has their approaches become in the automotive world, especially here in the Northeast, that what you're looking at is one of the most popular vehicles running around on our roads up here. And this is the Subaru Crosstrek. For 2025, I'm going to bring you up to speed on everything it has and wonderful things that it doesn't have, which I'm very pleased about, and overall why this car is so incredibly popular. Are you interested? Join us. It's not Star Trek though, it's the Crosstrek. And it's also very popular, just like the TV series, which is in one way or another still on television somewhere, on streaming or somewhere. There will always be Star Trek. That is my prediction to you. This beautiful 2025 limited version of the Crosstrek has a number of really, really wonderful things about it. And one thing I have to say right off the bat, and I include basically all the Subaru family in this, is I believe they have some of the best conventional suspension tuning you're going to find out there. These cars ride beautifully smoothly. Considering this is basically an economy car. It has a very affordable price tag, and it's also very compact. And compact cars, as you well know, often tend to ride a little bit on the choppy side. Not Subaru. They have really done their homework over the years, and along with the development of their symmetrical all-wheel drive system and the tweaks that they've given their Boxer four-cylinder engines, they have produced a really, really great car for 2025. This is my favorite Crosstrek I've ever driven. I've driven quite a few of them, and it has a number of things about it. I feel like, unlike a lot of other car companies these days, Subaru tends to learn from stuff that doesn't go as well as they wanted, or things that their customer base is just not very pleased with. And one of the things that this car does not have is turbocharging. It has a conventional 2.5 liter 4-cylinder boxer engine, and it's extremely simple, as you're about to see in just a few moments. But other things like that, that's one of my favorite things. The basic car is much simpler than a lot of other cars. Now, one thing I don't like is they've loaded it up with a lot of technology that I'm not fond of, but that's, you can't get away from that nowadays. There's an awful lot of, let us say, like road deviation things and stuff like that, which I'll go into in great depth, that I don't think are doing anybody any real good and are kind of interfering with things and adding price and complexity. But Subaru, on the whole, has done a really nice job of improving it every time. They go in, they listen to their owners, which are legion. They're very loyal to Subaru, but they listen to them, what they like, what they don't like, and they go from there and improve the next version. Well, this is the latest version. It has a 105-inch wheelbase, and it weighs about 3,300 pounds, which is a nice lightweight. All these things help with your fuel economy, and we'll get into that, of course. And another thing that Subaru has become very, very stubborn about and continues to fix, refine, and make it quite usable is constant velocity transmissions. A lot of companies have abandoned this type of transmission for a conventional automatic, but not Subaru. Subaru is sticking with it because they have been refining it, working on it, and the manual mode in this automatic transmission is just pretty much like a regular manual mode on a conventional automatic transmission. So there we have the basics. Oh, by the way, it can also tow 3,500 pounds. Just, I know some of you want to take your Subaru and you want to go out there and go out to that favorite campsite or something like that, and it has a good amount of ground clearance and has your all-wheel drive. And, you know, provided that you have a little bit of common sense, you could even tow a small trailer with it so that you don't have to pitch your tent. You can just pop up your trailer, you see, and go that route. A lot of people do that. You often see these things mating with kayaks on the roof. You see a lot of that. But anyhow, let's look under the hood, because this is one of the signature Subaru ways of doing things. They're beautiful 4-cylinder boxer engine. Okay, it's engine time. See if we can open this thing up here. And put this up here and run like, ah! What the hell is this about? Are they mating? Oh man, he's got a little gold chain on. Whew. Aha, so that's where the Subaru engines come from. I mean, who would have thought? We never know about these things until we know about these things. This is nature at its weirdest. Anyway, that air intake up there is what I've always called the spider on this particular vehicle. Well, not this particular, not this vehicle, but all Subaru boxer engines, which is pretty much, let's see, all of them. We have our horizontally opposed, this case 2.5 liters of Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive, starting with the engine. And as we can see how much that looks like a spot. See, that's where they come from. We have one, excuse me, where are we? Oh, there we are. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's our cylinders right down chair. And as you can see, we got 2 cylinders on each side, so 4 in total. Just like an inline 4, only they are opposing each other. They are a boxer, back and forth, back and forth. Number of things about this engine are interesting. First of all, it's the only company that across the line, every engine they have is one of these. They had a 6-cylinder version. I don't know if it's still out there or not, but that's supposed to be a real beauty of an engine. And 6-cylinder versions of the boxer engine, of course, have been very popular for years on Porsches. You got your twin cylinder engines on your BMW motorcycles on the Boxer engine there. But it's a real interesting engine because all these little airplanes flying around everywhere basically use a horizontally opposed engine. One of the great things about it is since you got 2 cylinders here and 2 cylinders here, you have the drive shaft that goes right down the middle. And this is all part of why I think Subaru calls it their symmetrical all-wheel drive, is when you have the crankshaft in line with the whole drivetrain here, in this case going to the rear wheels, it's a more of a direct drive sort of situation, and it makes a lot of sense. And that's also, if this was an airplane, you see your propeller would be right up there, right there. So again, the drive shaft's running longitudinally in the chassis, and it makes a lot of things convenient, especially when you want to put some drive wheels in the rear. Now, this of course also has drive wheels in the front, so it has kind of a conventional transaxle situation, but every Subaru comes with all-wheel drive, including this Crosstrek. And the thing about it that is so interesting to me is the fact that I go way back with Subaru, back to 1982. I used to have this four-wheel drive wagon, and that wagon had a 1.8 liter, I want to say. It's grown quite a bit to 2.5 liters, but it was a 1.8 liter opposed like this. It was not fuel injected or direct fuel injected in the case of Subarus these days, but it was carbureted with a little carburetor that was mounted right where the spider's head is here. And on top of that was the spare tire, a full-size spare tire. Now they did that because they could. The flat nature of this engine allows it to be lower in the chassis, let me just put it that way, with a lower center of gravity because of that. Why they don't put the spare on top these days, all kinds of reasons I'm sure, mainly packaging, because with the kind of system, mine was, I believe, a pushrod engine, and these are overhead camshafts, which are, of course, are riding up here. Then you have your chain system that's underneath there, and then here's your serpentine right in here, your serpentine belt that runs your accessories such as your air conditioner and your alternator, air conditioner. Everything is very, very easy to find on this thing, which is a plus in the Subaru department, very definitely. And look at here. Here's your oil filter right here. Incidentally, this thing uses 0.16 oil, just like the Toyotas do, a lot of the Toyota hybrids, and I believe the Toyota non-hybrid versions of the 2.5 liter inline four also. Got to remember, Toyota and Subaru are very simpatico. In fact, Toyota owns like a third of Subaru. So you'll see a lot of, there's some sharing going on back and forth between the two. And of course, the Subaru 86 has a Subaru, the 86. The Toyota 86 Coupe, a beautiful, beautiful little roadster. I love that thing. Well, it's not a roadster, it's a hardtop. But I love that little sports car. It's absolutely beautiful and great fun to drive, and it has a Boxer engine in it, courtesy of Subaru. So you see there's a relationship there between these manufacturers. And everything, like I said before, is very, very straightforward. You have your air intake right here, goes straight on back in here and directly into your fuel injection system, which, as I mentioned before, is gasoline direct injection, which is good and bad. The bad thing about it is carbon can accumulate over time, especially when you get up to higher mileages. But there's all kinds of things, and Subaru, I think, has a little kit and stuff, everything to clean that carbon out. Let's say, like, 80, 90, 100,000 miles. Not a huge deal. But my favorite thing about this engine, and in addition to it has very good power characteristics in general, and has no trouble really hauling this little 3,400 pound car around. But it has no supercharger, no supercharger, and no turbocharging on this model, which is great because that adds such simplicity, or takes away complexity, depending on how you wish to view it. And that just makes everything else that much better, because you got so much room around the engine, because there's not all this plumbing that's associated with turbocharging. You don't have as much power and low-end torque, that's true, but in return you get what I would assume will ultimately, over the long term, be a much more reliable vehicle and less expensive to service, because you don't have all this turbocharging stuff you got to deal with. So think about that. So what's our horsepower? Let me come back to my notes. I shall access them. We have, with our 2.5 liter Boxer, we have 182 horsepower at 5,800 RPM and 178 pounds of feet in the torque department at 3,700 RPM. And our curb weight was in fact 3,349. And this thing says you can tow 3,500 pounds with this. Wow. I don't know if I'd go do that, but it says you can if you won't. So what else? Here's our 12-volt battery, very accessible. Here is our washer fluid. Here is our coolant. You know, everything is just right here and very easy to access. Here's our dipstick. And where do we put the oil in this thing? Right here, right next to this incredibly convenient oil filter. So a lot of people, when they first encounter the Subarus of these days, this is a 25 of course, come away with noting that the fact that this is such a simple engine by comparison to a lot of the stuff out there, and that's absolutely true. So many vehicles now have both port and direct fuel injection, which has so many advantages, but it does add complexity, there's no question about it. And same thing, as I mentioned, with turbocharging. This little guy is so much more easy to live with in the long run, I think. Now, Subarus in the past, and I'm speaking from my own personal past from owning one too, they do real well until they get up to the higher mileage, and then you might have some problems. The kind of problems you'll get, they've been having war with head gaskets for years and years and years, but I think, like I said, if you maintain this vehicle well and take care of it and don't drive the living crap out of it, it'll probably do very, very well for you over the long term. It's also an economic, it's not the most economical engine out there, but it's good. It does a very, very good job in terms of fuel economy. Now, what about our transmission? Well, unlike a lot of manufacturers, Subaru has been more than happy to embrace the continuously variable transmission. They call it linear-tronic, and just improve it over time rather than abandon it like so many other manufacturers did, because the early CVTs had their foibles. They had things that people didn't like about them in terms of the drivability and that kind of thing. But this latest version is kind of fascinating because it feels so much more like a conventional automatic transmission. And it does, of course, have a manual mode. It's an 8-speed, and you have a manual mode with paddle shifters on it, so that's all good. And it's a real good match to this engine, the way it delivers the power, I think, very, very efficiently, and allows the vehicle to get the most power out of it that it can, considering it's a fairly modest power plant by today's standards. But it's a good one, and it has the spider on it, and now you know where these vehicles come from. I did not actually show you mating behavior. That was a simulated mating behavior, but that's how they make them. I think in the factory they have these huge spiders that go around, and they do what spiders do, and you know, before you know it, you got another Subaru engine. So deal with that. That's what I say. And again, 016 oil, which is becoming more and more commonplace. If you own this vehicle, I'd stick a quart in the back just in case. If you ever need to add oil, you have it. Because it's not quite as readily available everywhere as, say, your 020 is nowadays, but it's getting there because more and more are going to the lighter oil. And as long as you change the oil, in my opinion, I would go with every 5,000 miles. More and more manufacturers are telling you 10,000. I would ignore that. No matter what kind of driving you do, change the oil in the filter every 5,000. And I think you're going to be just fine. But the important part, from the purposes of this review, is that it drives really nicely. So there you go. And with that, let us proceed. Ah, welcome to Falcon. We do in fact have Falcon tires on our Subaru Crosstrek, which I greatly appreciate. What's our tire size, Foods? Well, it looks like it's a 225, a 55, or 18. 18s, how about that? 18-inch wheels. These are mud and snow tires, of course. And these are Falcon ZX, ZE001AS. Good gosh, that's a complex name. The Falcon makes excellent tires, as you may know. The Falcon Wild Peak has become semi-legendary among off-road types. Semi-legendary. But what a substantial brake we have for such a lightweight car. If you may look, those rotors are pretty massive with a good-sized caliper as well. But very, very straightforward. It's a good, for the longest time, and I've never understood this, but OEM manufacturers were putting crap tires on their cars because they know, they're just going to change the tire at some point anyway. So, well, they quit doing that a while back and started putting good quality tires on these cars. And I really appreciate that because you deserve that. You're paying for it, so come on. This is interesting here. This is some kind of a ventilation unit. I have no idea why it's that way. Is it for aerodynamics? Is it for cooling? I have no idea. So, 105-inch wheelbase, as I mentioned before. And as you can see, the front and rear doors are almost symmetrical in size. You don't have an overly large rear door, but what you do have is a surprising amount of room back there, which you will see soon, given the size of the car, because like I said, it's not a huge car. And it has that wonderful Subaru Crosstrek styling that they've tweaked a little bit here and there. Almost every year they do something in the tweakage department. Look at there, it's pink. Pink plates, how about that? And here is our cargo area, and we have some really robust floor mats and cargo area mat right here. And we have our concealment device. We have our 60/40 fold down rear seats. And I don't have the space. I'll put it at the bottom of the screen for you because I just don't have that in my notes because I have no idea why I don't have it. But if you look underneath here and you grab this little thing here, pull this little thing up, there is our temporary spare tire, which looks nice. And we have what appears to be an aluminum scissor jack, which I love those things. I first saw those on Toyota hybrids, and by the way, Toyota owns I think a third of Subaru or something like this, but they have a relationship, and they Toyota and Subaru trade bits and pieces. As I'm sure you know about the 86 Toyota Coupe has actually got a boxer engine in it, so you know they give, they take. This is not a power lift gate, by the way, and it doesn't need one. It's very, very lightweight. And as you can see, the lift-over angle, look, there's a little car right there, just letting you know that's what you're driving. Lift-over angle is good. It's so hard to figure out which is better, higher or lower, because it depends on what you're going to be putting in the back of your car. So there you go. Again, we have more ventilation, it appears. Round chair, yep. So there's all kinds of flow-through things going on with this vehicle. For your aerodynamics, for your fuel economy, hell, it may even be to help keep things quiet on the interior. I don't know. The interior is commendably quiet. It's not super quiet. It's not astoundingly quiet, but it's quiet. So that's all good stuff. And as is the case with so many cars, that I think they sell a hell of a lot of them in Europe. You'll see these things as police cars in the UK. But our gas flap is on the passenger side instead of the driver's side. And I always wonder about that. I think there's a number of different reasons why that may be, but I think one of them, they sell an awful lot of these cars, including in Japan, where the company is, that have right-hand drive. And if you have right-hand drive, that's the place you'd like to have for convenience. You'd like to have the fuel filler on the right-hand side. Now, this car, I believe, is built in Illinois, and most of the North American Subarus are built in Illinois, but as of the trade disputes with Canada that President, I can't remember his name, is like throwing up all these essentially what Canada has said is they're going to quit buying Subarus from North American outlet, i.e. known as the United States. They're going to buy them straight from Japan instead because of the tariffs. Now, whether or not this is what is today? Today's Thursday, so by Friday, who knows? There may be no tariffs, so we'll just have to see. But you come standard with this nice little roof rack on it. And like I said, kayaks are just attracted to this vehicle. And it's not unusual in the least for this vehicle to end up carrying kayaks because they seem to like each other. I don't know how else to describe it, but that's what we have. So a very, very beautiful little car, and it gets far more beautiful the more you drive it. And we got some quirks and things I don't like too, but I have to say overall, this is such a great car for the money, and a great car for so many different lifestyles because it does everything pretty damn well. Onward! Who'll stop the flicker? Well, I'm trying to, but there, that looks pretty good. Sorry about that. I can't do anything with the frame rate apparently that gets rid of this flicker. And the flicker you're seeing is actually the lighting around our mechanical analog instruments. So go figure. It's not something your eye's going to see, obviously. Nothing to worry about, but that's just, it's annoying as hell when you're trying to watch a video about the instrument cluster. But there we have the instrument cluster on our 2025 Subaru Crosstrek Limited. Couple of things. We have our center, naturally the center menu here for your some trip information, such as how far you have to go to empty, which is 230 miles left on this tank, and how much how long the engine's been running, and how much gasoline has been saved by the start-stop system. That's pretty interesting. A quarter of a tank. That's not bad. Not bad at all. And that's what's on the radio, and there you go. So we have a couple of things here that are interesting, one of which is, like I said, they're good old mechanical analog instruments, my favorite. So you always have your fuel gauge and your temperature gauge and everything, and your tachometer and your speedometer, and it all works. It's mechanical, it's simple. It doesn't give you the black screen of death like some cars do from time to time these days, because everybody's going to virtual analog or virtual instrumentation. But this particular Subaru, the Limited, the Crosstrek Limited, doesn't have all that stuff here in the instrument cluster. It has a wonderfully natural, as God intended, type of instrument cluster, which is great. Now you notice this here off. I've turned off the lane mitigation or whatever it is. It tries to steer you back into your lane if it thinks you're deviating from the lane, and I hate that for a lot of different reasons. But the primary one is where I live in a semi-rural area. There's a lot of times you have to move around on the particular highway you're on in order to avoid somebody like at their having their car stop at their mailbox, do all kinds of things, and it will tell you you're about to destroy yourself, so it'll try to steer you back. And I don't like fighting the car. It's one of the problems I have with a lot of these new safety systems, is when they're taking over stuff, they take over stuff, and you have to just deal with it, and that's not very good to have to deal with it, in my opinion. So anyway, there's our main instrument cluster with its associated trip computer system. And it also has, look at this down here, you see this? Trip reset. We have our miles, our total miles driven, which is 1357, new car. And then we have what I have on the trip meter. Now, do you know how hard it is on so many vehicles these days to actually find and set a trip meter? It's ridiculous. Subaru is still sticking with this, and I love them for it. I think that is that's a selling point. I guarantee you there's so many things. These things are ridiculously popular up here. And I honestly think one of the reasons is things like that. It's simple, it's familiar, and it's easy to immediately become comfortable with when you drive the car for the very first time. And what's the very first time? Well, that would usually be the test drive. And so there's so many other things about the car. It drives beautifully for a compact. It has a fantastic ride for a compact. It's something that Subaru has been doing for years now that a lot of other manufacturers could learn from, in my opinion, because they have a great the way they calibrate their suspensions is really good. Now, I hate the flicker, but like I said, you're not going to see that on your actual eyes when you're driving the car. That's a video remnant, and I can't get the right frame rate to make that stop. So anyway, the left side of the steering wheel, this steering wheel is loaded with stuff. This is all radio stuff right in here. This is intelligent, which I think I can set that in the main menu on the main screen to have a particular function delivered by that. This is your phone, hello and goodbye, and this is talk to the car. Then we have our volume for our stereo system. On the right side is our dedicated cruise control system, and this is it does have adaptive cruise control. Following distances, if you want to get closer, is the top one. If you want to get further away, is the bottom one. I prefer to just have one switch that you toggle up and down, but that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Zero wrong with that. And this is, of course, on and off, and this is, of course, when you want the car to try to do the steering, the lane tracing, that kind of thing. Right there. You can turn it on and off. Now down here is our S and our I. You see, it changes your SI, your performance curve, depending on what you want to do. And there's two selections. You can make I and S. So that's, I'll let you dig into that yourself as far as what, I don't notice a huge difference, but then again, I tend to leave it where it is and just test it from that perspective, which is, I tend to put it on the intelligent side as opposed to the sports side usually. So, but that's me. All we have over here, we got some blank spaces for stuff, but we also have our rheostat to adjust our lighting in our instrument cluster. Ooh, I wonder if I could change the flicker. Actually, it controls the lighting of everything, including your central display. Huh? How about that? Didn't realize that until now. Over our left side, we have our lights, which is where they should be. Auto, off, parking, and regular headlight right there when you have your full headlights on. This does not have an auto dimming system that I'm aware of. Let's turn it on and see. Yeah, there is no auto dimming system on this car, which is absolutely great, because it's unnecessary in my opinion. There's no heads-up display, which is even better because I don't like heads-up display. That's just me though. Now here, this is very interesting. You can see a very slow frame rate. See? Or no, you can't see a slow frame rate. I was thinking of something else. We have our Subaru signature portrait-shaped center display, which is considerable. It is a very large central display. Right now I have it hooked up into CarPlay, and this is WAZA, W-A-Z-A, a navigation program that I highly recommend because it seems to work quite well. And thanks to Android Auto and CarPlay, with a lot of vehicles now, I'd say almost most, you can integrate that directly into your navigational screen. Otherwise, this car has no navigation system. It doesn't come with one as priced. So I'm sure it's available as an option, but you can't do it on this one, on this particular car right here. It doesn't have. But again, I got my WAZA and I'm happy. Now, the thing that's really interesting about this is you do still have a dedicated volume on-off button and a tune button for your stereo, which I really, really admire. But a lot of the rest of the stuff, and is becoming so common, all your climate controls are all part of the central touchscreen. And that's just something you got to deal with. Now at the top, look at all the information they put up there. This is really nice. Up here we have our water temperature, oil temperature, average speed. We can go down here and there's our there's our weather forecast. Right now it's 81 degrees. In 3 hours it'll be 82. In 6 hours it'll be 79. That's a very interesting bit of meteorology right there. This is our X mode. Now there are two settings for X mode in addition to just normal, which is kind of an automatic setting. And what is X mode? X mode is your off-road mode, which basically allows the car to have more access to various parameters that the wheels are telling them is in terms of slippage front and back and left and right. So it can help get you through rough stuff. The left side, snow and dirt, and the right side, deep snow and mud.
and then normal. Now this is real interesting because at higher speeds you can't access X mode because you're not going to need it if you're going 40-50 miles an hour. But at lower speeds it's there to get you through. Excuse me. And while there's no winter time here at the moment, quite the opposite, as you saw from the weather forecast, everyone I talked to that's had the latest models of the Crosstrek are very, very happy at the performance of the all-wheel drive system. And you have to think about this. Every car that Subaru sells in the United States has all-wheel drive, and they've worked a long time on it, to the point where, you know, they even have their own terminology for it, symmetrical, because of using the Boxer 4-cylinder engine, transmission mounted directly behind it longitudinally, and then straight back to your rear drivetrain, and you also have the front drivetrain. For the most part, these cars are front-wheel drive until rear-wheel drive is necessary to help get you along. But that could vary depending on the circumstances, because they've developed more and more sophisticated systems that use the rear wheels on cars like this more often for just all kinds of different reasons. Just general traction when you're, perfect example of this is, let's say there's some light rain outside and you're on a hill and you stop at a stop sign and you're going to take off from that. Instead of just have the front wheels spin slightly and then kick in the rear wheels, the car is aware of what you're doing in terms of that stuff. So it will in fact actuate the rear wheels immediately because it knows you're going to slip otherwise, that kind of thing. That's what these things do. Now here's the dirt setting and deep snow. See, deep snow and deep mud. It's all there for you. And what else do we have in terms of I thought there was, oh, you can turn the whole thing off. There we go. There's what's on the radio. Hello, Jimmy. And I know somewhere in here, I think there's more information for your, oh, wow. That's something that's interesting is when you're on deep snud and mow. There, you saw the comedy group of Snud and Mow. When you're on deep snow or mud, or even I believe snow and dirt, yeah, it also actuates your hill descent control. Now if I put it on normal, that goes away. So very, very interesting how all that works. It's a very, bottom line, very sophisticated all-wheel drive system that as a Subaru owner, I think you'll take great advantage of if you're an active person. And like I said, these things were born with kayaks on their roofs. You see so many kayaks on the top of so many Crosstreks. So back to our center portrait-oriented display system. What else do we have in here? We have, well, let's go here first of all. There's our main menu that's part of the car. And as you can see, you have all kinds of different things. It has Apple CarPlay, which I've got hooked up right now. All kinds of different things. Auto vehicle hold, which is what this is right here. And that allows the braking to, if you're on a hill, so you don't roll backwards kind of thing. They used to have a hill, did Subaru used to have the hill holder? I think they did. Volkswagen had the skid breaker back when I was young, and I believe it was Subaru that had the hill holder. Auto vehicle hold is kind of very similar to that, except it's much more sophisticated, and it works completely differently now in the 21st century, 20 whatever. But anyway, you can turn it on and off right there, and you can also turn off your vehicle dynamics control. But again, that's something else Subaru's done really well with these vehicles, is the dynamics control also include a roll mitigation program in it, so that it helps you from rolling over in an accident. It's not foolproof. I have a friend who was in one of these and did roll the car with an infant in the back. Oh, I say this story every time I have a Subaru. And they both walked away. She and her baby were just fine, no injuries, and they went out and bought another Subaru immediately after that. Sounds like a commercial, doesn't it? I think there is a commercial where they did just that. but it's happened to more than one person. Very, very high safety ratings for the Subarus, including the Crosstrek. Now, if we go here, like I said, this is our climate control area. If we go down here, there's where we put our smartphone for wireless charging. And then you also have, look, a good old-fashioned plug-in auxiliary mode for your sound needs. Then you have a USB-C, and then you have a USB-A. So all your device interfaces are covered right there, which is great. It's nice to see an auxiliary mode still, because a lot of people have older stuff. Hell, I still have some old iPod Nanos that have excellent music on it, and I'd like to be able to listen to it in the car, and I can just plug it right in with your Subaru, no problem. We'll put the brake right back on there, and here is our it's small, but it's useful, our center console. We have a 120 jacket right there, and here is our shifter. Now then, as mentioned before, we have a lineartronic continuously variable transmission. However, it has characteristics in it, and similar to the way Toyota, I think, has the first and second gears are more planetary in nature before it gets to the full continuously variable drum system of the transmission. This car feels so much more like a conventional automatic transmission than the older Subarus with CVTs did. They've really been, again, work. They're always working to refine the breed, make it better, address the needs and the concerns of their customers. They're real good at that, Subaru. Call them up, ask them. And tell them you have a problem with your dog or something. Maybe they'll help you. What else? We have no moonroof or sunroof or panoramic or anything up there. But that helps, keeps the cost down. I think you can pretty much get one on one of these without any too much trouble. Part of an option package, no doubt. Oh yes, we have our heated seats here. And incidentally, these are, let's see, what is our seat? Let's see, I'm examining comfort, convenience, and exterior. Heated seats, yeah, we know that. Leather trimmed upholstery, that's what I thought. This is your leather trimmed upholstery over here. What's this? Oh, this is the end of the thing. Part of the camera's falling off. But as you can see, it has very good generous side bolsters on it for, let us say, spirited cornering episodes. Cornering? Wait a minute, they make a ceramic, well, anyway. Good seats overall, and the adjustments are good. I mean, I think most people, most body types will be fairly comfortable in these. And you do have a decent amount of headroom and a decent amount of legroom. Especially given the fact that this is a compact bordering on subcompact. Let's see what it says here. The EPA defines this as small SUV. Well, you're a small SUV compact vehicle. And with that, let's have a look out back and go into our passenger area. It's raining. How did that happen? Boy, we've had a lot of that. As you can see, if I don't bang up against my car here, almost 90-degree access. Sorry about all the dirt, but we live in the country here. And voila. Now this is the shocker for me the first time I got back here. I have the front seat back fairly far at the moment, and look at all the leg room I have. I have tons of leg room, tons of foot room. There's a pronounced drive shaft tunnel, so that you do have that to come in with, because it is actually there's a drive shaft going through the drive shaft tunnel. It's weird. You get in some front wheel drive cars, and they have a drive shaft thing going on, which makes no sense to me because there's no drive shaft going back there. But the Subaru does have one, since it is all-wheel drive, as all Subarus are. We have our USB-C and our USB-A right there. Very, very comfortable. The rake of the rear seat is nice. I like it. And we have a 60-40 increments that you can bend the sucker over and increase your cargo room. And as you'll notice, there's a nice perforation. This leather is really good. You know, the thing about the limited designation, I think a big part of that is just the fact that they're using really good leather on this car. It looks like it would last and last and last and last. This is a car that, even though it's a compact, some people would even call it entry level, you have enough goodness to it if you kept it on the road that I think it would probably last pretty well. The headroom in this compact rear seat is very, very good. It's amazing because if you look at the fastback roofline, you wouldn't expect that. But you got very, very good room back here. And like I said, it's a very comfortable rake to the rear seat. And again, you can also split it down and put your longer cargo next to somebody, make somebody sit next to it. Like if you got a new rake and a new shovel. If you got a new shovel, then you can put your shovel next to them and they can admire it on the way back from the box store or wherever you got it. We do not have individual map lights, unfortunately. We have just a central, but you know, that's what happens when you don't have individual map lights. You have a single one. There's no pocket here, but there is a pocket here, and it's pretty tight. You couldn't get, I don't think you could squeeze a smaller tablet in there, but otherwise, and a paperback, you could get a paperback in there. Magazines would take a little bit of futzing in order to do that, but otherwise, you're wasting your time there. Just hold it in your lap. Here we have our armrest, which has our cup holders, and it is in an excellent angle. This is very comfortable back here, especially for a compact. And again, this is another one of these reasons that I really feel that this has been a very, very popular car, because it's just they thought a lot out, and the Crosstrek, over its comparatively brief tenure in Subaru history, has been continuously updated every time they start messing with it, and they seem to be addressing shortcomings and making them go away, and going on with the things that people like about it. And one of the big things people like about it is lots of room in a small package. So that's the thing. So there we are. That's the interior of your 2025 Crosstrek Limited. It's unlimited limited. I'm overall very impressed with everything about this car. I don't have a whole lot of complaints, and even though it's no powerhouse, the engine works very, very efficiently and works well, and it's fast enough for most people. I just wouldn't recommend towing the 3,500-pound trailer that it says you can tow with, because I think that would be a bit of a burden for this. But as far as your interior goes, excellent overall.
Oh boy, what's the temperature? What's the temperature? Temperature, please. Temperature, what's the temperature? It is, oh sorry, it's over here. God, every car is different. 85 with 130% humidity, so your actual field temperature is somewhere just below boiling, I think. 212. That's Fahrenheit, of course. What's so cool about Celsius, man, is the boiling temperature is 100 exactly. It's set that way. God, I do hope, it's getting harder and harder and harder for me to get home without encountering all kinds of construction and tree work and tree construction and road work and you name it. Again, every time I get in this car, the ride, it's all about the ride. It's such a smooth riding car. And all these Subaru owners know this. They have discovered this. It's a shame that Subaru doesn't make trucks, like real trucks, like half-ton trucks. I'm surprised they don't. But then again, a smart company sticks with what they know and improve what they know and know how to build, and doesn't constantly go off into whole new directions that they've never made that kind of thing before. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, it isn't, but it's one way of ensuring that you keep your customer base happy, because you're not distracting from the core product. And there's a watch company in Switzerland that said, It's all we do. It's all we'll ever do. And that's make wristwatches. Do you know which company that is? Well, it rhymes with Bolex. And they know what they're doing. They just make their products better and better, but they're still mechanical wristwatches. So that's one of the things I do very much like about what Subaru has done, because they do pretty much stick to the core. I mean, they built SUVs, but they basically just took their basic car chassis and wagon chassis and made it larger. As you are no doubt aware, there is a new Outback station wagon for the first major redesign in a while, and from what I've seen of it, it doesn't look all that different, but they're going more towards a boxier, and a lot of people don't, I've noticed something very strange. I don't know if you guys have noticed this or not, but I've noticed there's a lot of places that I go by that have very late model used vehicles for sale. A lot of which are high end, but not all of them. But they have all these things, and they always seem to have whatever the current trend is, what everybody likes. They have the most of those sitting out front for people to see, stop. Oh, I want one of those. Stop in, come in, buy it. And for the longest time, for the last several years, it's been mainly pickups and SUVs. Now, they have a whole bunch of sedans sitting out there, which is kind of interesting to me. Could that mean that people are starting to abandon their love affair with the sport utility vehicle and go with more cars? I don't know. But Subaru is one of those car companies that's still making a sedan, and even a high performance version, as you are no doubt are familiar, the WRX. Those are always turbocharged, those. That's not my favorite Subaru either. I'm real partial to this thing, just because when you weigh everything together, the cost and the utility and the overall quality and the economy, I still think it's a little better. The WRX is a lot of fun to drive, but there are a lot of things you have to deal with WRXs over time, and they're more expensive to own and much more complicated. And if you ever try to buy one used, be advised that whoever owned it before you probably, let's just say, drove aggressively, as one does. When we own a rally car, you tend to do that. See, I have a friend that is a husband and wife team, and the wife's car is a WRX. And she loves her WRX. I think she may have done a little bit of rallying in it. I'm not real sure about that. But I do know they managed to blow the one engine up. And it's on at least its second engine. And that's because people just squeeze the last living bit of horsepower out of them with tuning, and that can get you into trouble just about anything these days, because tolerances are so tight, and they really are tested and tested and tested and tested as stock. And when you start messing with especially things like compression, turbocharging, as far as what the turbocharging settings are, wastegates and all that stuff, you can cook your engine without too much effort. Got to do the right thing. And like I say, I assume most of the people I'm talking to are primarily after a good, reliable vehicle that's a fit for them, because we have no trains in this country, and you have to have a car, and you have to deal with. See, there's just Subarus are all over the place. Oh, that was a Toyota. Sorry, that wasn't my wife, was it? Oh. But I tell you that there's a real battle going on up here. I don't see as many Honda CR-Vs in this class up here. But Honda was saying it's the best-selling compact SUV in the country. Maybe that's true. I don't know. But not up here, it isn't. And I have no idea why that is. I'd say up here it's a struggle between the Forester, the Crosstrek, and the Outback wagons from Subaru the RAV4 from Toyota, and the Tucson, and now the Santa Fe is a little different now. It's more trucky. It's nice though. It's very nice. But the Tucson in particular has been very, very popular up here too. And all these vehicles are similar, although there's very few like the Crosstrek that actually have. Most of the vehicles are in the. You could really argue, if you into that, if you're into arguing, that this is more of a subcompact. And in the subcompact, and there's definitely a whole, there's the Buick, what's it called? Encore, I think it is. There's a lot of vehicles in that class now. Lexus has them, everybody has them pretty much. But I don't think they don't do it as well as Subaru does the Crosstrek. In terms of the overall basic design, this car has so much room in it without looking too boxy. I'm not sure how they do it. They put all their boxing in the engine compartment. That's what your boxer engine, you see. Boy, I tell you, take the smooth ride of this vehicle and throw in the fact that they've just repaved everything around my house. And boy, it's a magic carpet ride. You don't know what. I probably can't say any more about getting flagged or something. Unless I got permission from Steppenwolf. Hello, Steppenwolf. Can I borrow your song for about, I don't know, a bar or two? Close your eyes, girl. Look inside, girl. Let the sound take you away. Boy, I used to love, I loved that song when I was a kid in the 60s, a little kid in the 60s. I liked Steppenwolf. And I still think the ultimate motorcycle anthem that has ever been written is Born to Be Wild, of course, by Steppenwolf. That is the motorcycle song. Next in line of that is Sheryl Crow's Every Day is a Winding Road. That, to me, should be a motorcycle anthem. But, manufacturers never listen to me. They don't, with the exception of companies like Subaru, they don't listen to anybody. But their own marketing people and board of directors and we don't have any companies right now that I can think of that build automobiles that are private companies. They're all publicly owned. And what would it be like if there was a completely private company that didn't have to answer to all these shareholders and everything, but just had to answer to the customers that are buying their product? What would cars look like? Would they be different? Would they be more tested, more well thought out? Would they be popular? Don't know. Hard to say. Our Monroney for our 2025 Subaru Crosstrek Limited tells us that we have a base price of $31,510 and with options came to $33,086. Very affordable. Your miles per gallon is 27 city, 33 highway with a 29 combined, which is about what I saw. It's a very, very economical power plant. By the way, I apologize. I didn't have a shot of the rear suspension as I normally do, and there's a long story behind that. But anyway, the car has a lot of ground clearance, and the magic of that extremely smooth ride for a small car shall remain a mystery unless you crawl under and have a look at it. And you'll see a very conventional looking suspension, but one that works very great. So here we have a really, really popular compact SUV, and I can see why, because it's a very, very pleasant vehicle overall. It's also a very utilitarian vehicle in its way because it has a lot of versatility to it, and it has a very good four-wheel drive system, gets good mileage, and even has a degree of simplicity that should help you in your quest to have your maintenance done at a reasonable price. So all in all, a terrific thing. It comes from the stars, The Pleiades is all about Subaru and vice versa. Oh, yep, see, they're everywhere, the Pleiades. So if you're in the market, I would really give this a good look. Look to the stars, as they say, because there's a reason this car is very popular. It's a great car. Be careful. We'll see you.
Whatever the tube tells you, you dress like the tube, you eat like the tube, you raise your children like the tube, you even think like the tube. This is mass madness, you maniacs. In God's name, you people are the real thing. We are the illusion.